This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome into the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I hope you all enjoy some tacos and 12-year age tequila because the rest of tequila is trash. This episode is episode 21, the Desmond Howard edition. NBA playoffs are down to 8 teams as the conference semifinals are off and running. The NHL playoffs kicked off on Monday, and the Twins are the hottest team in baseball, winning 11 of 12 games. The NFL draft wrapped up Sunday, and the good news is every team got the player at the top of their draft board, and they were shocked that he was even there to pick. So I think it's only fair that we let Ethan start off this podcast by, I don't know what his opinion is on the Vikings, going off our text messages. I don't know if he was too keen on it. So, Ethan, the floor is yours. Rant away.
Where to start? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a team trade not once but twice with division rivals, going down 20 spots multiple times. But I mean, hey, let's just give them possibly the best receiver in the draft and when healthy. And I mean, Watson has upside, but I mean, I do like what they did at the secondary. They hit I think he's really underrated after reading about him. I never really before the draft didn't really know a whole lot about him, but reading a lot of people like it. A lot of people had him higher, I think, than I think what most experts had considered, or it looks like for teams. I mean, Jerry Jones leaked a photo of his draft card, and I think they had him at like number 7 overall seen. So it's like teams thought pretty highly of this kid. Yeah, seems underrated. First round talent in Booth. If he can stay healthy, he's a stud. Absolutely dominated half the field at Clemson. But yeah, the secondary, everything else, so I don't really. The lineman, okay, nothing. Seemed like that was experts had him lower than what the Vikings picked him, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm not an expert by any means, so I guess we'll just see.
Yeah, well, your skepticism is fair, just judging by previous Vikings draft and their inability to find good linemen through the draft. But yeah, the way these experts they rate these teams on the draft. It's based off their rankings. It's not how the teams rate them. And yeah, time's going to tell. It's going to be a lot about development. And if they're able to develop them in the right fit and it works out, great. Yeah, these experts can eat crow.
Well, and guys, also, I think with seeing Ted Georgia front 7 was so dominant last year. They got after the quarterback so much. We didn't know who he was because teams they didn't have time to throw the ball. It was a lot like the 2013, 2014 Seahawks defense, where that front just got after it and opponents didn't have time to throw on Georgia. So, like you said, give Sean some time. But in regards to trading within the division so both teams can get better, my dad always told me this, guys, don't negotiate with terrorists. And when you trade within the division, you're negotiating with terrorists, and I just don't like it. You're giving Jared Goff another weapon. You're giving Aaron Rodgers someone they wanted also at 32. I don't care if you got a couple picks for it. You don't, just like how the Texans told the Titans, hey, we're not trading Deshaun Watson in division. You don't help your division get better when you got to play those guys 6 times a year.
Nope.
Yeah, and let's stay there with talking about the Titans. Did you guys see what Ryan Tannehill said about Malik Willis? Which, in a sense, I think the context matters. I thought it was interesting that he went out of his way to go and say that, which I don't believe it is his job. I think some of it has to be on Malik Willis. I think if he goes to Tannehill, asks questions, I don't think Ryan would have an issue, maybe, because I also heard he didn't treat practice squad players in Miami very well because I guess when they would pick him off in practice, he would say, yeah, well, look at your paycheck compared to mine. So very, very interesting to see. I don't, in a sense, I don't look at it is Tannehill's job, but I think if Willis shows initiative and asks questions, I think maybe that's what Tannehill was trying to go after, was saying, it's not my job, but if he goes and asks questions, I don't mind helping him out. So what is your guys' opinion on that?
Well, I also think Tannehill knows, my time is numbered. Like when some team, the number 1 team in the AFC last year, goes out and drafts a quarterback in the top 3 rounds, And now you hear the rumors they tried to trade for Deshaun Watson. They dipped their toes in the Aaron Rodgers water. They're looking to upgrade because they feel like they're a quarterback away, just like my Kansas City Chiefs with Alex Smith. After that 2016 game against Pittsburgh, they said, hey, we love Alex, but he's not our guy. So, so Ryan, now he's feeling pressure because he's, not at the tail end of his career, but he has a cap. People know who he is. He needs a strong running game. He needs a good defense and 2 playmakers. So now he's almost playing for his career and playing to be a starter. So I get that. But then also, to your point, Dylan, it's not his job. Malik Willis is coming into this league to be an NFL quarterback. Being an NFL starting quarterback is harder than being a governor in this state, being harder than U.S. Senator, because there's only 32 jobs out there. So he's got to put the work in and learn himself. But then also, Tannehill, he could help, and he could take the high road like Alex Smith did, like what Kurt Warner did with the Giants, because it helped them go to a new opportunity and have success. For Kurt went to Super Bowl with the Cardinals, and poor Alex broke his leg, but it just showed how good of a person he is. And I think maybe we're finding out Tannehill's not a good guy.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people are looking at Tannehill as the reason they lost that playoff game, because the defense did their job. It was, oh yeah, I mean, when you sack the other quarterback 9 times, you should not lose that game.
And your first play of the game is an interception. On the last drive, you have an interception that gets them at midfield. He was the reason why they lost that game. So absolutely, he should be feeling the pressure. And, they lost at home 2 years in a row now. In 2020, they lost to the Ravens. A.J. Brown was open down the left sideline. I remember Brian Greasy screaming at the TV, you got to find A.J. Brown for a touchdown there. And Tannehill missed him. So he's blown it these last 2 games at home in the playoffs, I may add too.
Yeah, I get his frustration and everything, but that's just one of those things you don't say to the media. Like, it's one of those unwritten rules. Like, you don't have to be his buddy. Like, no one needs to know that outside the locker room. Like, you don't have to hold his hand through everything. But to go out and just publicly say that when they never even really asked you that question, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
That's where I'm with you, Ethan. Like, if a reporter asks you that question, yeah, you could say, yeah, it's not my job. But the fact that you go out of your way is like, he's feeling pressure, and it can go 2 ways. He's going to crumble, or he uses that to make himself better. So interesting to see. And with that attitude, it wouldn't shock me if they try to make a change midway through the year.
Well, and then also, guys, let's go back to Kansas City. In 2017, through the first 8 weeks, Alex Smith was an MVP. They were high flying. The Chiefs were 5-0, and then they had a rough patch where their offense couldn't score, their defense couldn't stop anybody. But then they got had it again at the end of the regular season there. But he used that as motivation and had a career year. So now it's time for Tannehill to say, hey, I might have a year, maybe 2 left here in Tennessee. Well, I'm playing for a job somewhere else, so it's time to shine.
Yeah, and Ethan did a little bit. We'll all go through our favorite teams and talk about their drafts, and then our surprise favorite team that we like to start it off. And I'll start. Cowboys. First pick, they took Tyler Smith, the tackle out of Tulsa. I like that they drafted. They do need to go on the offensive line. My question is I don't know how much he's going to play right away. I thought I would have liked to see him go out and get a guy that could provide an immediate impact. Sounds like they want to start him out at left guard and possibly be a swing tackle. He could be a Tyron Smith replacement if he works out. My issue is, and he's going to an offensive line that had a lot of holes last year, and he led the FBS in holds. So hopefully Joel Philbin figures something out and gets him working, maybe put oven mitts on his hands so he doesn't hold. It's all about, and the biggest thing with holds is the officials are trained to look at where they are gripping, where they're holding, or where the point of attack is. And watching film, he goes a lot outside on the pads where they really got to work on getting it inside that plate on the shoulder.
Inside the breastplate there, right on your pec.
Yep,
and
exactly.
Not to chime in here, Dylan, but he's got to work on keeping his elbows in too then. If his hands are getting wide, his elbows aren't close to his body. So that, like I said, just some fundamental critiques that Philbin will have, and they'll rep out in training camp.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we can just go round by round as far as as teams go. So Grant, Ethan, Chiefs, Vikings, will take it away.
I gave my thoughts on the Vikings. Grant, you're up.
right, let's fire away. So the Chiefs draft as a whole, I'm just going to say from the jump, I loved it, boys.
They also got the best undrafted free agent too, I will say, in Justin Ross. If he stays healthy, oh boy.
I'm going to talk about Justin Ross a little bit later when I'm talking about quality of depth that Brett Veach gets in this draft 2 years in a row. In Veach, we trust. Kansas City, let's go. But yeah, for the first pick, Trent McDuffie, what did this team need? They needed secondary help. They got torched last year. You lose Chartavius Ward and Tyrann Mathieu, and the world's worst strong safety in Daniel Sorensen. Good luck, New Orleans. That's all I had to say. But at least we get another year of Tyrann Mathieu memes putting his hands in the air when Sorensen gets torched by Tampa twice a year. So that'll be fun to watch.
I'm kind of sad though. That was the second best barbecue in Kansas City was Daniel Sorensen.
That was an absolute freaking joke. His play last year was catastrophic. He cost us probably about 3 games, and I don't want to talk about it because my blood pressure is rising, and that's upset. But no, McDuffie, he's got that lockdown corner. Someone who can take the other half of the field. Because also Mike Hughes, who was a spot starter last year during injuries, he's now in Detroit. So the Vikings, to have a nice little rotation of young corners with Chiefs, with Rashad Fenton, L'Jarius Sneed, who's a really, really good third-year player now out of Louisiana Tech, and then Trent McDuffie. And what I liked most about McDuffie is he came out after the draft and he said, who do you compare yourself to? And he said he's a Tyrann Mathieu type player. He just high energy. He's a motor. He's going to clamp guys down. And the best part I love most about him is he gave up last year 39 yards was the highest yards he gave to receiver in any Washington game. And Dylan, that may have been against the Michigan game, but that didn't matter. Michigan ran for 250 yards.
That game was just insufferable on Twitter that week because they were complaining, they're not throwing the ball. Well, for one, they had 2 corners go in the first 2 days, and then when you're running the ball, which I don't understand at times, like it's mostly people who message board boys who have no idea about anything about football. When you're getting 7 yards a carry, why do you have to throw the ball? Like
you don't.
The defensive line just doesn't even want to be there. You're moving them, and that's the best type of football, if you ask me.
And then also another thing I kind of like, the last time we took a corner in round 1, Marcus Peters, that worked out pretty well. He's your 2015 defensive rookie. He's a 2015 defensive rookie of the year. And like I said, he was a pretty good football player. So not too bad. So I love that. So he can kind of clamp down, and we need to get younger in the secondary. And then what else did I bang my fist on the table for last week? Pass rush. We got to get after the quarterback. Because we couldn't finish Burrow off last year. And I'm going to say his name wrong again. I'll have to say it wrong all the way until the season. But George Karlaftis from Purdue. Again, he's a high energy, kind of gritty player that I think resembles the city of Kansas City, and someone who's going to come in and he's going to work hard. And he's a no nonsense guy. Good production at Purdue these last couple of years. And what's nice is now that he's playing with Chris Jones, he's not going to get double teamed. And I still think the Chiefs are going to bring back Melvin Ingram next year too. After what they did yesterday, they essentially put a restricted free agent tag on him. So they'll bring him back. Yeah, Frank Clark, George can learn behind those guys. And again, we can cover the back end. We can get after the team's quarterback in the first round.
Yeah. And I like what Dallas did too in round 2, where they went and got Sam Williams, the D end out of Ole Miss. He's going to provide depth after losing Randy Gregory. You could put him with DeMarcus Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong, and then they signed Dante Fowler. So he was a first-team All-SEC player with 12 sacks, 16 tackles for loss. So I like the pick. There was some off-field issues, but hopefully he's able to get that out of his way and put that behind him and provide a good fourth pass rusher for Dallas. And then round 3, they went and took Jalen Tolbert, the receiver out of South Alabama. They lost Cedric Wilson to free agency, traded Amari Cooper. Michael Gallup is hard to say when he's going to be back coming off a torn ACL late in the year. And then really leaves them only with CeeDee Lamb and a couple other kind of lower depth chart guys. So he had back-to-back 1,000-yard receiver seasons at South Alabama, and he's a good route runner, so he knows how to get open, be a good option to get Dak. So I like him. I also read that he could have been an option for him at 56, where they took Sam Williams. So luckily they were able to get him where they did. So hopefully he's another. And they've had success drafting those lower school guys that are a little bit unknown, like similar to a Gallup. So and then and then round 4 they took a tight end position in need for them after cutting Blake Jarwin. He's in Jake Ferguson, the tight end out of Wisconsin. Grant Neathan's second favorite school behind Iowa and Minnesota, respectively.
Hey, did you know that's their athletic director's grandson?
It is similar to. Did you guys know that Clayton Kershaw and Matthew Stafford were high school teammates? Did you guys know that?
Yeah,
everyone.
That.
But
he also has like I think only has 4 fingers, 2 on one hand. I'm pretty sure
he does. It's something weird.
Yeah, it was like a genetic defect he was born with. He's a good blocking tight end. He had 145 career catches. The biggest thing holding him back at Wisconsin was just putrid quarterback play, whoever he had there. But I don't know how much of an impact he's going to have this year. I think down the road he could definitely blossom into a Dalton Schultz type player, and with another depth play behind Sean McEwen, and Ian Bunting. And then they also, I'll let you, Ethan, you go. You haven't really fully talked with the rest of the Vikings draft.
Booth. I mean, like I said earlier, if he can stay healthy, I think it's a good pick. I don't mind him trading back from 35. I want to say the pick
34.
was
34.
But just who they traded with? It just kind of mind boggles me that
you don't
trade
negotiate with terrorists.
They want a receiver.
Did you get to watch any of the press conferences at all? Is this why they?
I watched a couple of clips, and it's basically like they can draft who they want, and we're going to get whoever we want to stop them. Is essentially what Quasi said. Which, I mean, I understand that logic, but at the same time, you can also not let them do that. I mean,
I think, Ethan, were you telling me this? The package the Packers offered for the Vikings at 32 was like the same, but it was the same what they offered at 34 that they accepted, but they didn't want to give Green Bay that 5th-year option on a good receiver.
Oh, I didn't see that actually. No.
Okay, someone told me that. It was it's the same offer Green Bay had at 32. They offered at 34, but the Vikings said no at 32 because they didn't give the Packers that 5th-year option on a stud receiver.
I saw that too. I think that was discussed. I don't know which channel you guys watched it. I watched it on NFL Network, and that was discussed
casually.
So,
but I do like the trading back because I think they probably were going to take Booth anyway at 34 had they not moved back. I think secondary was very much so their top priority, which is rightfully so. But then I guess Ed Ingram they got in the second round too. Don't know a whole lot about him. LSU guard. They had an underwhelming year, so I honestly, like I said, I know nothing about the guy. Round 3, the linebacker from Oklahoma. Is he more of an edge or is he just like an actual linebacker?
He's an inside linebacker.
He is. Okay. Yeah. So I honestly didn't pay a whole lot of attention to those picks outside of the first couple. And then Esezi out of Tamwa from the University of Minnesota, of course, which I think that could be an underrated pick. He basically was hurt the whole draft leading up to the draft. I don't think he even really did much of anything on the field. So he probably could have went higher had he been able to work out for the teams.
Yeah.
Well, kind of to piggyback on the Vikings here, when they took that Oklahoma inside linebacker in the 3rd round, I was pounding my fist on the table Thursday and Friday, taking Kobe Dean, because inside linebacker is a position the Vikings need to address. Jordan Hicks is a 1-year stop guy. Eric Hendricks is getting a little older. He doesn't fit well in this defense. I thought Dean was the guy. The Vikings brass had the same mindset as me as inside linebackers a spot, but they went with the Oklahoma player. So we'll see. I mean, again,
a lot of teams are terrified of Dean, which is just kind of odd to me. But
then, if we look at it like this, look at the protection he had from that Georgia front 7, that front 4. Yeah. So maybe that's why he was making plays. No other business in the world does a better job of finding a reason not to draft you than the NFL.
Yeah.
Nobody else is going to say we shouldn't take you because you're not a good player, and this is why. So
they probably know more about you than you do yourself.
Oh, absolutely. The FBI in the NFL in terms of knowing people. So
same thing.
I mean, well, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and then Cowboys too. They continued to go offensive line. They took Matt Waletzko, the tackle out of UND, University of North Dakota.
Hold on. Can I interrupt real quick?
Yep.
Sue forever. None of this fighting Hawks nonsense. Fighting Sue forever.
Sue sucks shit.
Shut the fuck up, Ethan.
If it's not football, if it's not hockey related, nobody cares about UND. So it's.
I'm just saying
they're the fighting
general,
Hawks. They're the fighting Hawks in football.
In general, fighting Sue forever.
But yeah,
God, you went to NDSU. Have some respect.
Dog, I don't care. I grew up in Mankato. We watched UND play the Madison hockey all the time. It's fighting Sioux forever because they had the best sweaters in college hockey history.
They do.
Sure. Yes.
You piss on Marble.
He just hasn't been. Ethan just hasn't been to a game at the Ralph, and he would understand how awesome it is. And I don't hand out UND. I don't hand out UND compliments like very often. So that I will say, UND hockey games are awesome.
I would enjoy that. That is one thing I would enjoy actually. Where did Grant go?
Grant. Oh well, he's somewhere.
Right here.
Oh, there he's back.
Okay.
He's back.
Sorry, guys.
Playing hide and seek.
But
hey, peekaboo.
He's a swing tackle option. Could be their sixth guy. Provides depth. We'll see. I don't watch a whole lot of UND football. And then they took Deron Bland, a cornerback out of Fresno State, in the 5th round. He was good size, which Dan Quinn likes. 6'1", 200. He had 5 interceptions, 23 pass breakups. Kelvin Joseph has a whole mess with him. Not sure if he's going to be getting suspended or not. But my favorite stat about it is that he forced 4 fumbles this year, which tells me that the guy is a ball hawk and knows how to create turnovers, which Dallas had a lot of success last year forcing turnovers, and hopefully that trend continues because usually it seems like turnovers are very luck-based, and it's just one year they create a lot, the next year they're hard to come by. And then they stayed on the defensive end to round out their 5th-round pick, and he's the guy that's not going to play. He had spinal fusion surgery, but before that, he had a 2nd-round grade on him as Damone Clark, out of the inside linebacker out of LSU. He had 135 tackles, 15 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks. He forced 2 fumbles, 4 pass breakups, and an interception last year. Would love to see him play, but maybe him falling is going to be working out in later rounds. And then going on, they had another pick in the 5th round too. Is they took John Ridgway, D tackle out of Arkansas. He was an Illinois State before that, graduated, transferred to Arkansas. He's a good run stopper, what you need in that front, just a guy that can go eat blocks. And it's a spot they've struggled at. Just signing, drafting, just can never seem to get consistent production out of that position. So maybe this guy works out. And then they took Devin Harper, a linebacker out of Oklahoma State. I think that's kind of a depth pick for the missing Damone Clark, who's going to miss. The guy is fast. I expect him to have an instant impact on special teams this year. He had 96 tackles last year. Overall, for Cowboys grade, I think I'd probably give it a B. They drafted positions in need. It's hard to say because the guys haven't played at all yet. So I'll give the Cowboys the benefit of the doubt because they have drafted really well the last few years between Jerry, Steven, Will McClay. They've done a good job drafting, and hopefully that can get them the next step and get to the championship round of the NFC.
Which probably won't happen, but hey.
Yeah, I know.
That's what's nice about the draft. It gives fans hope for their team for the next coming year and years ahead. But I think we can all agree that next year it is a path towards Rams and Bucks, but that's why we play the games. That's why we play the game. But yeah, with the Chiefs here, guys, again, just like the 1st round, 2 2nd-round picks. And I loved both these picks. You know, the first one, you got Sky Moore, the wide receiver out of Western Michigan. You know, and some people had him graded as a late 1st-round pick. I saw, a couple mocks on NFL.com. I want to say it was Charles Davis. He had Sky going to the Chiefs at 29. And to, be able to snag him up at 56, I think is just a great piece. Again, because you lose Tyreek Hill in this offseason in that trade to the Dolphins, you need to get explosive on offense again. And also, we just need to look at it like this. You signed Juju Smith-Schuster, a 1-year deal. McCole Hardman, he's coming up on the 4th year of his rookie deal. There's a chance one, if not both of those guys are going to be gone this year. So again, wide receiver was a position in need for the Chiefs. This guy, he can run routes on the inside and the outside. He's a twitchy, fast guy, someone who's perfect for Patrick to have. And again, we're not replacing Tyreek Hill. There's one Tyreek Hill in this world, and he is currently in the 305 down in South Beach. But as long as anytime you can get someone who has 4.4 speed, a first-round potential talent, I'm a fan. And also, when you have one of the most creative offensive play callers and play designers in the league, Andy Reid's going to give him the ball in space, and it's going to be good things to come. And then, with the second-round pick, just 4 picks later, pick 60, we took Brian Cook, safety, out of the University of Cincinnati. Travis Kelce was stoked about this pick because, in his words, you can't have too many Bearcats in one locker room. And, sidebar on that, can we give Luke Fickell a round of applause here? Look at the coaching job he's done at Cincinnati. Thank you, sir. Cincinnati had 9 draft picks this year. A plethora of those picks went in the, top 3, and it just, in the world of coaches leaving for better jobs, he's going to stay at Cincinnati and build something special. So my hat's off to Luke Fickell and the job he's done. In Ohio State, their defense has not been the same since he left. So Luke Fickell can coach football. But back to Brian Cook here. He's a 6'1" safety. He's long-armed. He has long arms, and he's not afraid to hit people. What I like most about that is you pair him with Justin Reed, who we brought over from Houston this offseason. Reed will probably play that free safety spot, play the center of the field. If you need someone down, hitting someone on a crossing pattern or covering your tight end, that could be Brian Cook. And again, Juan Thornhill, he's the other safety last year. Last year of his rookie deal, another second-round pick from 2019. So again, this is just a value pick where the Chiefs might have going, maybe not a whole, he might play some this year, but in 2023, if you get a year to develop with this roster, Brian Cook will take the field and, be a menace for people trying to go across the middle. And then the Chiefs' 3rd round pick, this might be my favorite pick of the draft, going back to that school in Madison, Wisconsin, but linebacker Leo Chenal.
Dude's a beast.
The dude is an animal. I mean,
yeah.
115 tackles this year, 18 and a half tackles for loss, but as a middle linebacker, he had 8 sacks.
I was just going to ask how many he had. Like
8
his blitzes
sacks.
were ridiculous.
You don't see that often.
It's insane. And he had 2 forced fumbles. So Dylan, just like what you said with that Cowboys pick, he gets your offense the ball. And anytime you can get Patrick the ball in a short field, that sudden change, you better watch out, because before you know it, Kelsey's going for 17 yards and Hardman's going for 18. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire is giving Dallas the deuces on the way to the end zone.
Yeah, no. You just ruined a great moment we had, because I had a great thing I was going to say, but you ruined it. So kick rocks.
Oh, come on, just send it. Send it.
Okay. You know what the best defense is?
What's that?
A great offense.
We go.
Keeping the offense, or keeping the defense off the. Actually, yeah, exactly. Because I had it in my head. But the best defense is no defense. Keeping that offense on the field.
Yeah, and then back to Leo Chenal. He's the 2021 Buckus Big Ten linebacker of the year, and of sport where the linebacker position is slowly going away and away. The one conference where your linebacker does matter is the Big Ten, something we follow. And anytime you can get your best linebacker in the conference on your team, I'm a fan. And also, the dude's an absolute maniac, because before every game this year, I read he wrote on his tape, on his wristband, death row.
Death row. Yeah.
Wow.
The dude wanted to go out and absolutely punish people. And, he did. And kind of like I said last week with Boy Mafe, he got better every single year with his time at Wisconsin. He's a 3-down linebacker. And you can compare him with Nick Bolton and Willie Gay. That's a really good young linebacking core the Chiefs can have. And Bolton and Chenal can blitz. So they're going to get after the other team's quarterback, which, again, like I said last week, attack. That's what the Chiefs need to do. So I'm a big fan. And then the last pick, which might be my second favorite pick for the Chiefs, surprise here, offensive tackle from Kentucky, Darian Kennard. He's a natural right tackle. And the one spot on the offensive line the Chiefs need is right tackle. George Niang was hurt last year. Andrew Wiley pitched in and played, but Wiley's more of a guard. And this guy was, a 2-team All-SEC player, and last year a consensus first-team All-American. And, he's 6'5", 345 pounds. He's just a big, nasty, physical dude. And he's from Youngstown, Ohio. So if you're from Youngstown, Ohio, you need to be tough.
Yep.
And like I
said,
said,
he was first-team All-American?
Yeah, consensus first-team All-American last year.
So basically, if this guy's wearing an Alabama jersey, he's probably a top 15 pick.
Correct. Yeah, if he's if an Alabama player, he's a top 15 pick. But like I said, he was about 6'5", 345. So maybe they thought he was a little big and he was out of shape. But Kentucky was also one of the best offensive lines in the country last year. I know they're finalists for the Joe Moore Award.
They're gonna have a top quarterback next year draft probably.
Yep. And then they had Wandell Robinson last year. So Kentucky had a good team. Also, let's props to is it Mark Stoops, right?
Yep, Mark.
Yeah.
Yep, Mark Stoops.
Feature hot guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we're going to go there with my next team because the player who drafted him, I still have nightmares from that guy from the performance he put on. But again, the Chiefs, they need a right tackle. And I'm telling you guys this, I think they're going to do it next year. They're going to get back to running the ball, something they got away from the second half in that Cincinnati game. And Kennard could be a perfect fit to fill in that right tackle spot. And then just back to what I said earlier with Brett Veach, the amount of good young players he's got in the last couple of years in the mid rounds, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, and possibly, now Kennard, it's exciting. So the draft is a good time for us Chiefs fans because the scouting department, I feel like they know what they're doing. We got a dang good team coming here next year.
Yes. Ethan, we'll let you finish us up here with our favorite teams, and then we'll move on to teams we thought knocked it out of the park with their draft.
Yeah. I like Ty Chandler, the running back from North Carolina. They've been last 2 years. That's their third running back they put in the league. I wasn't very high on Wonkwu, the other running back that they drafted last year out of Iowa State. Good returner, but boy, does he not have good vision when he's running the ball out of the backfield. How many holes he missed last year. Someone to develop behind Madison, because he's probably not going to stay past his rookie deal with Dalvin Cook here. As long as Cook's here, I don't see Madison staying either, as he probably deserves at least a shot at a starting role.
You said the running back they drafted. You said the running back they drafted last year was from Iowa State.
Yeah,
which
kick returner. Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, well, we'll bring that up
because Ngagwe. I don't know how to say it.
Because we will bring it up because Brock Purdy, the Iowa State quarterback, was Mr. Irrelevant, which is fitting because Iowa State is irrelevant.
And he's only relevant in the month of October. Let's not forget that, folks.
Yeah,
that's true.
Then we went up tackle from Illinois. I think he was a Big Ten honorable mention. So solid player in the Big Ten. We needed tackle depth. We need any O-line depth at this point just to kind of create that competitive spot in the preferably interior is where we need it the most. Got your two bookend tackles there. Moved on to the wide receiver Naylor at Michigan State. I want to say, was it 2 years ago? He had like a really, really good year. And then this year he kind of fell off.
He had a good year this year.
Did he have a good one this year?
And he did. And I heard this year, guys, in the late round here, Keenan McCardale was begging Vikings brass to draft this kid.
Really?
Yeah. And Keenan's one of the best wide receiver coaches in the NFL. Urban Meyer had a major mess up letting him go, but that's what Urban does because he thinks he's better than everyone else. So Jacksonville probably could have used him last year. So the Vikings got a steal of a coach. And when coach is banging to take him, you take him.
Yep, 100%. And then you go and get the tight end from South Carolina. You got to replace gosh dang, I'm just spacing on names today.
Conklin?
But Conklin, you got to replace Conklin. I think he went to the Jets, possibly. He went to the East Coast somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was the Jets because the Jets also got CJ whatever from Cincinnati.
Yeah, so hopefully you get Irv Smith back. Fully healthy. It seems crazy he's still not fully healthy. He said he should be healthy by camp, but that seems crazy to me for a meniscus. But that's just a long recovery.
The meniscus surgery he had last year, he had the one where it wasn't the scope. They actually put the stitches in
they
there.
went and replaced it. But still, that's a long time.
But
I think it was only a partial tear, and they say the partial tear is worse than a full tear. I think the meniscus is one of those surgeries. I want to say
Okay.
I remember hearing something like that.
Nice. Okay. But yeah, no, just a good depth pick that they obviously needed. So they hit their areas. Whether these guys are going to be good or not should be fun to see. Just develop them.
Yeah, it's always like Grant said, draft provides teams hope, or they're just ready, hoping they get a number 1 pick next year. So,
Yeah.
but we
pretty
are
much.
a positivity only podcast. So it's hope. We're all 3 of our teams are going to the Super Bowl. We're not sure how it's going to work out, how it's going to happen, but that's how
Well,
we're
we could
feeling.
possibly have 2 Super Bowl matchups.
We could.
We could have an title matchup. So we're at least next year guaranteed all 3 teams picking to be 29 and 32.
Yeah. Boy, would that be sweet.
The
That'd
mirror
be cool.
like Paul Allen.
Yeah.
As long as the Vikings are at 32, it's fine.
We could say that for all of our teams.
Yeah, we
But
could.
we're gonna switch over. We said we're each gonna pick a team that we thought knocked it out of the park with their draft. I'll start. And man, does it pain me to say this.
Let's go.
Oh
boy, here it is.
Apparently
Let's
I'm wearing
go.
Let's
I'm
hear it.
wearing green.
Is it midnight green?
I don't even know. And we're gonna go to that hellhole, the link in Philadelphia. I really like the Eagles draft. One of their draft picks, they traded for one of the best receivers in the NFL, A.J. Brown. It's going to give Jalen Hurts another weapon. And then their second pick in the first round, they go draft the defensive tackle, Jordan Davis, who I think was the key to that defense in Georgia, helping them win the national title. The dude just 8 blocks, just 8 people. You compare him with Fletcher Cox, and that's just a nasty front 2. It's almost Williams Wall levels to the Vikings with Pat and Kevin Williams. That's nasty. And then they go in the second round, draft Cam Jurgens, the center out of Nebraska. Jason Kelsey's probably on his last year with the Eagles. You can plug him in right away after. And then in the third round, they get probably the steal of the draft in Nakobe Dean, the inside linebacker for Georgia. Medical concerns, and he kind of held off surgery. And it makes no sense to me because they said it was maybe a torn pec, but it's either a torn pec or it's not a torn pec, which I don't know how you can say. Some doctors are saying it is, but I feel like a torn pec is pretty cut and dry. It's either torn or it's not. So we'll see what happens there. Probably the Eagles, they drafted the 2 best players off the defense from the national title last year, in Dean and Jordan Davis. He's an explosive athlete. He's another guy that just pops off the television screen when you're watching it. So I think the Eagles probably got one of the best drafts.
Well, and, to piggyback on that, Dylan, like you said, we're a podcast of positivity. And when you look at it, they took the LA Rams approach. Players over picks. They went out, they needed a receiver, they needed a deep threat. Why sit back and say, hey, let's get Traylon Burks? You know who we can compare him to? A.J. Brown. They said, screw it, we're going to go save and send, and we're going to get the guy. We're going to get the horse. The problem is he's going to miss 6 games next year because he's always injured. Hopefully at least 1, if not 2 of those are against the Cowboys, for your sake. Mirror positivity. And he did have a little bit of a drop issue, but when he's on, again, he's one of the best receivers in the league. And, the Eagles, when they were dominant, when we were young kids, Jeremiah Trotter in the middle of that defense. Yep. And do they also have Jermaine Curse on the tail end of his career? He started off in Tennessee, but they got after it. They got after it in their front 7. And that's what Philly did this year. And also with Jordan Davis, you play in the NFC East. Dallas is going to want to run the ball. Hopefully. I think the Giants change it up this year and say we want to run the ball. You need guys to plug up the middle and stop the run, and the Eagles didn't.
Yeah, and it's going to be, they're giving Hurts the keys to the Mercedes, and I think the biggest thing with Hurts is he has to improve on his anticipatory throws, where he has to be able to throw guys open. He's really struggled with that his first 2 years in the league. Maybe getting a guy like AJ Brown helps that, but I think that's gonna make the difference from the Eagles being a good team to a great team if he can take that step and throw guys open, which is one of the hardest things to do as a quarterback.
Yeah, to throw to a spot and not a player. But if we're sticking with teams that we liked, I'm gonna hop in here, and I'm also gonna stick in the NFC East. I know how much this pains Dylan, but what did I say last week, boys? We need to protect our quarterback, and we need to attack the other team's quarterback. Well, the New York Giants did both of those.
They finally figured it out.
They hopefully. I trust this Buffalo
not hopefully.
regime.
No, not hopefully.
I trust this Buffalo regime to come in and build a good roster over these next 2 to 3 years. Don't worry about it rest this year. If the Giants win 5-6 games, it'll be a success. But they have the building blocks to attack the other team's quarterback with pick 5 at Kayvon Thibodeau. Like we said, he was probably the rawest of the pass rushers last week. He was the most gifted, being the number 1 recruit in the country. His motor was down. Did he love football? Did he not love football? But again, pairing him up with Andre Patterson as a defensive line coach, I think is going to be exactly what that young man needed. He's going to develop just like Danielle Hunter did, and he's going to be a nice piece for the Giants to get that pass rush started, which, only had 110 sacks over these last 3 years. And when you give up 131, guess what? You need to protect your quarterback, and they did that with Evan Neal. 6'7", 330 pounds, can play both left and right tackle. Again, you don't pick up Daniel option for next year. So guess what you got to do? You got to give him a shot. You got to give Saquon a shot. And, the Giants also, they're saying, like what you said, Dylan, they're going to build a foundation on a team. And if Daniel Jones isn't good, well, guess what? Next year, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, DJ from Clemson, JT Daniels, there are some horses that they can take next year at the quarterback position, but they're going to try to get whoever it is there set up for success and then help Saquon out too, like I said before. So with Evan Neal, I thought they absolutely nailed that. And then in the second round, the guy I was talking about, Wan'Dale Robinson, the wide receiver from Kentucky. In the first round, you protect your quarterback. In the second round, you go out and you give your quarterback some weapons. As you look at the Giants receiving room, it might be one of the worst in the NFL. You got Kenny Galladay.
I want to trade Tony too.
Yeah.
Yep. I was going to get there. Kenny Galladay, Sterling Shepard, one of the most expensive wide receiver rooms out there. No production. Ardavius Toney, first round pick last year, and they want to trade him away.
How many games did Galladay play last year?
I'm not sure, but the lasting memory I had with him was he dropped the game touchdown pass against Washington in week 2, and it went #pear-shaped ever since then for Kenny Galladay in New York. So, you take your quarterback in round 1, but then you go out and you get him a weapon in round 2, and Robinson was a stud last year. Like I said, he kept me up all night during that Citrus Bowl. He was the MVP of that game. He had 10 catches, 170 yards. Last year he had 1,300 receiving yards on the year. He averaged 112 yards a game as a player. One thing that does make me smile about this guy is Scott Frost. Probably wishes he still had him in Nebraska, but that's what Scott Frost does.
He runs away good stuff to deal with.
Yeah, well, he did it to himself, so I don't.
Gotta love cheating and still going 3-9.
Yep, they were the best 3-9 team in college football history last year. And let's not forget, fellas. Let's not forget, Iowa corn is better than Nebraska corn. So,
yes.
So I really like the Giants draft. I got a couple more, but we'll pass it on along to Ethan here. Talk about your team.
Well, I'm staying in the East, just not the NFC, but the AFC East with the Baltimore Ravens.
That's the AFC North there, buddy.
AFC North, my bad. Same East side. It should be the East, but we're just gonna go past that. It seems like every year they just get these guys to fall to them. They don't do anything. They don't trade up. They just fall in their lap. Kyle Hamilton, all year top 5 pick, blue chip guy we're talking about, falls to him at 14. Like, are you serious? Him and the Williams from Saints now. That's gonna be one of the best. Williams. Yeah. It's gonna be one of the best duos in the league right there, right off the bat.
Marcus Peters is coming back from a torn ACL last year.
Yeah.
So the Ravens secondary.
I'm pretty sure Jimmy Smith's still there. He was hurt last year too.
Yeah, he was.
There was anybody that was of note last year for the Ravens was hurt. So they
literally, I swear, someone had a sniper and just one by one each week. It was just stupid.
Almost made the playoffs, which is just the credit to John Harbaugh.
Yeah, exactly. So then you trade Hollywood Brown, who I don't think is ever. One, he wasn't really ever that great, and two, I don't think he was really ever a fit in that offense. Lamar Jackson just doesn't throw the deep ball well, and I feel like that's really all Hollywood Brown does. He isn't a possession receiver. He's like your big play guy, which makes a lot more sense in Arizona with Kyler's big arm.
And
but then you go get Linderbaum. What was that?
And D-Hop being suspended in Arizona.
Yeah, they needed to make a move, 100%. But then you go get Linderbaum. I mean, they have their next Matt Burke for the next 12 years. I mean, last time they had Matt Burke, they won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, that's pretty damn good. So they get Linderbaum at 25. And then you go to the second round, they get a Jabo, a top 25 talent. And yes, he's coming off of ACL. But yeah, Gus Johnson's favorite call there for Dylan. But you get him at 45. I mean, he comes back healthy in 6 months. He might be ready by camp, honestly, with how fast these guys come back from ACLs now. And then third round, you go get the D tackle from Connecticut, Travis Jones. Some people had him a top 35, top 40 player. Again, they just fall in their lap. It's insane. And then there's even more. They get Faalele in the fourth round. They get a starting right tackle for their run-first offense where he's just going to be a freaking road grader. Even if he's like a sixth offensive lineman, I mean, you're not going to get in his way and stop him, like him and the other, like whatever other tackle they have. Like, that's just illegal. That's not fair.
Filling away that left tackle.
Do they still have him?
Yeah, they moved him over to left tackle after that.
Okay.
Raiders last year.
Yeah, even then you still get Charlie Kohler too to pair with Mark Andrews, who's obviously a pretty damn good tight end in college. Like, it's just they had so many impact players. Like, it was unbelievable draft. Probably one of the best drafts I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just some John Harbaugh magic. I think they're that classic team that they don't overthink it. They watch the tape. Oh, this guy can play ball. We're taking him.
Well, and all players, they fit what they do. Like when we're talking about Hamilton, Jabo, and then Jones, that defensive player, they're all nasty and they attack. What does Baltimore do? They attack. Oh, and it also helps they got the D coordinator from the Wolverines last year, so he knows what David does well and what doesn't. And then with Faalele and Linderbaum, Ethan's exactly right. We're going to run the ball. We're going to be down your throat. We were down our two best backs last year.
Yeah, it's going to be stupid.
We're going to come back this year, and we're just going to move people. And, TJ Watt, he's a little thinner on your outside linebackers in that league. He better hope he doesn't get 365 pounds on him because he's going to be thrown around like a little rag doll. And Falele's do TJ what the Gophers did to Wisconsin last year. And it's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, just road grader.
Road grader.
Yeah, and one last thing on the draft before we switch over to the NBA playoffs. The Falcons took Drake London at number 8, which I feel like is a gamble.
He's good.
Oh, come on. You guys had to get that.
Not really, my guy.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
This is
Falcons
awkward.
taking a receiver that was a gamble.
Oh, son of a bitch. There it is.
Oh, haha. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was nice. But sometimes things just go over your head and you miss things. But hey, that's okay. We'll be better next time.
Yeah, so we'll move over to the NBA playoffs. Like I said earlier in the show, Grant disappeared. Oh, he's back.
Hey.
I think he just wants to make sure we miss him if he's gone, but we wouldn't, Grant.
Yeah, well, I know, because you guys hate me.
At least you know it.
True.
The NBA playoffs conference semifinals tipped off on Sunday. Celtics Bucks. That series is tied 1-1. That so far, I wouldn't be surprised if this series goes 7 games. The scripts were basically flipped. The game 1, Bucks came out on fire, just ready to roll. They looked prepared, and I kind of expected it. It was one of my picks on Sunday that I picked the Bucks to cover. I thought the Celtics, even though they did sweep the Nets, it wasn't a draining series emotionally. It was physical. It was just a series that there was just so much built into it with Kyrie coming back, Durant, and just all games were decided by 7 points.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of worn down, and I think Boston was just emotionally exhausted, where the Bucks just kind of breezed through. It was a gentleman's sweep. And then
the Bulls
yesterday,
won game 3. The Bulls won game 3.
Yeah, and then they just got absolutely
game 2.
shit on
It
the
was
last.
game 2.
It was game 2.
three.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
sorry.
I said a gentleman's sweep. 4-1.
Wasn't even like competitive basketball after that.
No.
No, it was a blowout.
Game 3 of that is Saturday, and then yesterday, as we record this, or on Tuesday, Boston just got hot, and they just couldn't miss until the game was over. So
Been by what, 23 or something?
It was, I know at one point it was like 25. I didn't get to watch a whole lot of it, but
no,
game was pretty much over from the opening tip. I think the Bucks got it close. I think they got it to within 12, but anytime they got close. Yeah. It got Boston fans a little nervous. Boston was able to go and hit a big shot, extend it to 15, get some stops on the defensive end, but I'm excited. This might be one of the best series of the conference finals or conference semis.
You see, I think this is going to be a great series, and in the end, I like Celtics in 6. And the Chris Middleton injury is why. Sure, yeah. Yesterday, Giannis puts up 28 points. Whenever Giannis puts up 28 points, we all got to be thinking, hey, the Bucks are going to win. But he shot 11 of 27 from the field. And I think he's going to have to go out each night and almost do what he did in not quite game 6 last year, the finals, where he put up 51. But he's going to have to play hero ball, something that LeBron had to do against this Celtics team. And LeBron could barely do it. And I think this Celtics team, they're just so good. And they have so many good pieces. And their coaching staff fantastic, and they play defense that I think eventually they're going to wear out the Bucks, and they're just going to, one night will be the Jason Tatum show. Last night was Jaylen Brown show. Eventually, I think the Celtics are just going to flex and be a little too much because of the Chris Middleton injury, and the Celtics win this series in 6 games.
I'll go Bucks in 7. I think the Marcus Smart injury is a little bit concerning. I don't know when he's going to be back. It shifts. And so it's going to be a good series. I think the winner of this series goes to the finals. But Ethan, what are your thoughts on this?
I picked Celtics in the beginning. I can't change it now.
Okay.
But no, they played well last game. First game was just an aberration. They'll be fine. I'm taking them in 5.
Oh, take the Celtics in 5.
Oh, wow.
We're going in 5. We're going big.
Woo. All right, you heard it here first. Old takes exposed.
Bucks had their fun. Season's over, boys.
So, anytime someone from Wisconsin loses, America wins. So I'm okay with that.
See, thank you.
Right.
But Dress just doesn't like fun.
And for me, guys, I don't know. I'm starting to really get on this Miami Heat bandwagon when it comes to teams at the Eastern Conference. I know I've been kind of saying it before the playoff starts, but when you got Tyler Hero winning 6th man of the year, 20 points a game off your bench, and you just throw in just the dog mentality that this team has with Jimmy Butler and Bam and Kyle Lowry. And, we're forgetting about the most important piece of that team, Eric Spoelstra. He's such a good coach. He's going to get his players into the right spot all the time. And it's culture down in Miami. And they're playing a team who has no culture. And without Embiid, I think the Sixers are all but done. James Harden is a shell of himself. You can't trust Tobias Harris. And when that kid from Kentucky has to be your second best player, I just don't think there's going to be much going on there. So I tell you what, I am excited for a potential Celtics Heat conference finals that won't be in a bubble in Orlando. We'll actually have fans behind it. That was a whale of a series 2 years ago. And I kind of hope that can happen again. But I think the best series of the second round here, boys, is going to be Grizzlies Warriors.
Yes.
That just hurts to
the
talk
John
about
Moran
the
show
Grizzlies.
last night.
Oh my God.
Tuesday as we record it. And to go back, I think Grant's just a little bit more on the Heat bandwagon because they're playing his most hated team in the NBA, the Sixers, right now.
Oh, dude, I can't spend anything to do with the city of Philadelphia. So circle the wagons, 305, baby. Let's go Heat.
Wow, all right.
And I think that Heat Sixers series is going to be a sweep. Game 2 is tonight as we record this. Is probably about to tip off.
Yeah.
Here. And last night the Grizzlies Warriors game, John Morant show. Game 1 was a fantastic game. It's getting chippy. Dylan Brooks ejected game 2 last night.
That That was a bull jive.
Can we just talk about how soft flagrant fouls are getting for a second? Like, come on. They're swiping for the ball and they hit him in the head. Whoop-de-doo. It happens.
They're going too much by the letter of the law. I think for it to be a flagrant one, it has to be showing like malicious. Which Draymond,
that shouldn't even be a flagrant one. It's a hard foul.
Draymond should have gotten ejected. When you grab a guy's jersey and pull him down, that you deserve to be ejected for that for sure.
And before that, in game one, he also hit the guy in the face on the way up. And the one video they didn't show, the one camera they had didn't show it, but he smacked the guy in the face. And your point, he grabs the guy by the jersey and tries to throw him like a wet rag. Yeah, get out of here, Draymond. You want to be tough guy.
Shocking.
Tough guy.
Want to be tough guy from
Michigan State. Because that's huge going forward.
Right.
What's that?
Is Poole is he gonna keep playing? Is he all right with his elbow?
Well, it's Gary Payton, I thought.
Yeah, it was Gary Payton.
Right. It's Gary Payton.
And that might be the difference because he's their best defensive player, I think, for sure.
And look what happened last night. Ja goes for 47.
Yeah.
He never even touched that and sniffed that number versus the T-Wolves.
No. And game one, I was thinking, the Warriors are just going to cakewalk through. That was a game game one was a game they shouldn't have won. Clay missing free throws he normally doesn't make. And they still find a way to get it done. But interesting to see what's going to happen with the Gary Payton Jr. injury. And it's going to I expect it to go 6. I think the Warriors win in 6.
Well, and also, guys, I forgot for a second there, but I remember when it was 98-88 in the fourth quarter on Sunday, I go, oh, this is right where the Grizzlies won them. They're down 10 in the fourth quarter. There's going to be their 4th straight win like this. And then shortly after, Mike Breen says it, and they're slowly getting the comeback. They're getting the comeback. Yeah. And then they have a potential Ja layup at the end. And I was like, I honestly thought before that possession, I was like, he's making this. This is just, it's meant to be. History repeats itself, and it's going to happen for the second series in a row. But, when the Warriors won titles, they were a good defensive team, and they forced Ja with a tough layup, and he missed it. But, yeah, you're right, Dylan. This is going to be a series. I think it's going to go long, but I'm with you, Warriors in 6.
Yeah, I'm going with you, too. I think Warriors win it. I just think Steph and Clay are too much. And even the in Poole. I mean, if he gets 20 a night with those guys getting 25,
it's just their experience too. That's one move I think Memphis has to make for them to take that next step. They're very talented, but they are so young. Like looking at their roster, they have no guys they have that like no veteran guy. It feels like
when Tyus Jones is your best veteran, and
exactly that's the only
you're not going to win games.
100%.
What they needed. They were 2 years away from this. They needed that Chris Paul trade now, like when he left Oklahoma City to Phoenix. Speaking of that, Western Conference final this year, boys, is going to be delicious because Suns in 5 against the Mavericks. We'll give Luka game 3 at home, but that's it.
Will we?
I think so.
I think so.
Put up 45 or 50 in one game this series to give Dallas, and then Jalen Brunson, might go off on the home court, but that's about it. But Suns and Warriors, I'm excited.
Yeah, and
that'll be fun.
I think, like you said, I think Suns in 5 because I don't. Dallas doesn't have enough consistent defense. They can't do it enough, even if they're hitting. Because in game 1, they were hitting a lot of shots, but they couldn't stop anybody on defense.
Exactly.
It was what my basketball coaches called the Burger King offense for the Suns. Have it your way.
Have it your way.
And and that's going to be the Mavs' biggest downfall is because Luka has no interest in playing defense at all.
No.
And
he's too slow.
I think them going back home for game 3, they get the crowd on their feet. That's going to be energized. I think they get on the Suns early, and I think that's their only win of the series. And it's like you said, Suns Warriors, and get your popcorn ready. But to go back a little bit to the 76ers Heat series, when is Doc Rivers going to realize that DeAndre Jordan is not good at basketball anymore? Like I think he played 12 minutes in game 1, or no, I think he played 4 minutes in game 1 or something like that. And you know what his plus minus was? Yeah, it was 4 minutes. You know what his plus minus was?
What was
minus
it?
12.
Minus 12 in 4 minutes.
And they lost. Didn't they lose by? They lost by what? 18.
Yeah.
you take him off the court, and it's at least a 3-possession game down the end.
That's rough.
And then James Harden, I think he enjoyed those hot dog buffets at those establishments he likes to go to a little bit too much, and he's basically partied his way out of playing shape, and he got injured, and he just doesn't seem to be the same since that hamstring injury last year with the Nets.
Well, true, and I think he's clout chasing. He's sitting back. He's hanging out with rappers, going to joints, having, going on dates with whoever he wants, whenever he wants. He just doesn't care. He's got his $250 million. He's happy with the life he has. He doesn't care about his legacy for basketball. He just wants to win a couple scoring titles, which he's already done, and just move on. But it's Philadelphia. It seems like they just attract those kind of bodies. And the one player they never should have traded was Jimmy Butler.
Yep.
So back, maybe I'm getting on this Heat high horse here, and hopefully the people in Minneapolis don't want to put me on a Pitchfork Nation because I like Jimmy Butler. But
you already do. It's okay.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, the Sixers don't care. And when they get down 2-0 in this series, if Embiid ever does come back, he's going to be soft and cry like he always does. So Heat in 5.
5. Wow. You're even going to give him a game.
I'll give him a game.
Is that the Heat culture gentleman sweep? Is that what you're going for?
That's the one problem I have with the Heat is they all, in every series they're in, they always have that one game where they just get a little lax. The Hawks game 3, and they just kind of almost go on autopilot and they coast a little bit. And the Heat are going to probably do that. I'll say game 4. I think Embiid will come back in game 4 because he doesn't want to get swept and doesn't want to embarrass. We don't want to have a crime in Embiid video like we did in Toronto 3 years ago. So yeah, I'll give the Sixers one game, but I think these conference semis are going to be all done in 6.
And then that Simmons Harden trade too.
That has
the most equally like we're going to get rid of our problem and take on another problem.
Like how
it's almost comical.
The Justin Jefferson Stephon Diggs trade, it worked out for both parties, and you're like, hey, we can live with these results. This is the complete opposite of that. This trade was catastrophic. It was a joke. Both players don't care. They don't want to be there. And these ownerships and coaches are probably thinking, there's a chance I'm going to get fired because of these clowns.
Yeah. Well, and it's just the dysfunctional franchises are going to dysfunctional franchises. So we'll move over. Yeah. The Twins are the hottest team in baseball right now. They've won 11 out of 12 games. They're looking to go get that third win in Baltimore. The starting pitching has been fantastic. The offense hasn't taken off like I think a lot of people have expected, but it's slowly. They still have a run differential of plus 29, which is the 4th best in the majors. Only behind
higher than that after last night.
It was plus 29, I think, because it was after the Twins game was over when I looked this up. But they're only behind the Yankees, Dodgers, and Mets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are rolling. Bullpen's even doing well. I didn't think that was going to happen. And I know it's Baltimore, but I think they've only given up 3 hits in 9 innings in the first 2 games or something like that. 8 innings, something like that. So it's just outside of Duffy, the bullpen, Duffy and Fieldbar have kind of struggled a bit. But outside of them, Duran's a stud. Pagan's been solid if he can just get his walks cut down a little bit. And then, who's the last guy that's been doing really well? I can't think of his name right now. But
the closer's
been that's Duran. Yeah, that's Johan Duran. He's disgusting. It's not fair.
Well, and
no, it's been impressive.
When you have the second best team ERA in the American League at 3.01, you're going to win a lot of baseball games. And that's, as a team, that's what we have right now. I know last week at some point our starters had the best ERA in the American League. I don't know if that's changed or not, but what's the common thing we've said for the last 5 years with this baseball team? Where's the pitching?
Yep.
Where's the pitching at? And now that the pitching here, good things are happening. And Buxton leads the team with 7 home runs. Kepler's got 5. And, we're waiting for Correa's bat to get going and hit the ball out of the ballpark, but he leads the team in hits. I think
he's had 4 of his last 5 multi-hit games.
Yeah, and he's got 23 hits on the year. I want to say either 23 or 28. So, I mean, there you go. You spend some money, Minnesota Twins, some good things happen. And the whole lineup has just been consistent. It's fun to watch and fun to follow.
They're finally hitting. That's what they're doing.
Yep.
And that's what we said the start of the season, guys. We said, hey, this team just needs to take a deep breath, start taking some pitches, and we'll be okay, because the pitching wasn't.
I shouldn't say they just started to hit, because their actual batting average, balls put in play, was basically like top of the MLB, but they were hitting it right at people. Correa specifically, everything he hit right on the nuts, right in the back of the glove. Like, and now obviously that's not going to continue all year, and we're seeing those transition over to base hits now, which is scoring the runs.
And they're winning. They're not winning relying on the home run ball, which we talked about in an earlier podcast, where we'd like to see them, go win by multiple different ways, where they the last few years where they just relied so much on the home run. And then the other part too is maybe this is just the experience compared to like in 19 where they would lose a big game, they would bounce back, where previous, like last year, if something went pear-shaped, they let it just snowball down, where on Friday they got their doors blown off against the Rays and they bounced back to go take the series. So if they can keep, give a team one game in the series, but keep finding ways to win series, I think they could have the division wrapped up by the middle of August.
Well, and also, guys, what's the one thing we've been saying these last 2 years with Minnesota Twins? Byron Buxton is healthy. I saw a stat the other day when he's, these last 2+ years, when he's healthy, the Twins are on a 101 win pace over 162 games. When he's hurt, they're on a 78 win pace. And Ethan was playing chess while we were all playing checkers, while we were in love with Trout and Shohei. Ethan was beating the horse and we called him a homer. Byron Buxton's the best player in baseball.
It's not close.
It's not even close.
Ethan was arguing with a guy on Twitter about that the other couple days ago. It was like,
he can change.
There's two hills I'll die on. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback, and Byron Buxton's the best player in baseball.
And I'm going to start to join you on both of those hills, because
thank you.
Buxton can change the game on the field, on the base path, and running. It's insane. Remember, Ethan, a couple of years ago against the Orioles, he was on first.
Yeah, he scored. Yeah.
He scored from first on a single because he was going to steal second.
To left field. No, to left field.
He scored from first on a single. That's just how this guy is just built different.
Well, even twice in the last week, they've hit the cutoff man, but they haven't thrown it to second base. So it was a cutoff man to first and a cutoff man to third. He's went to second both times just because he's like, you guys are idiots for not throwing it to second. Yeah. Like, it's hilarious. He's like you said, like I was playing checkers. I don't even know what you call what he's playing right now, because it is so highly
Chinese
above what
checkers.
anyone else is.
He's playing Chinese.
Maybe Chinese checkers. I don't know if that's different or not, but maybe it is.
But yeah, and if he can just stay healthy, we have the best player in baseball, and we're finally seeing what top 2 pick was he? Was he the second pick?
Yeah. He was second. Correa was first.
Yeah. We're finally sitting back saying we deserve this, because we do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we're paying him $16 million or something like that. Just a stupidly low number.
Yeah. And
that's right up that's alley.
Let's hope it continues, and we'll finish up the podcast with Curveball of the Week. Grant, take it away.
Here we go.
As many of our listeners would know, Ben Simmons drives me absolutely crazy.
He does? No.
And like I said a couple weeks ago, he can go to hell and he should get out of the NBA. But Kendrick Perkins may have said the greatest thing on TV that I've ever heard in my life. He goes, Ben Simmons is that pretty girl who's unattractive and she's the attractive girl who's single. Why is she single? Because she's smoking cigarettes. Newports, I may add. So, it got me thinking here, boys. What is maybe like one trait, whether it be smoking, drinking, or someone, who's late, or just like a characteristics on someone that they may have? It could be someone you're looking for in a relationship, or someone as a coworker that they have that just drives you up a wall and almost makes you dislike that person because of that one thing that they do, which could be smoking Newports.
Man, that's tough.
I have one. I'll go, because I thought about it. I figured it out. It is when you go to a restaurant with someone, how they treat the waiter. where
yes.
or like the classic, I hate to be this guy, but I'm gonna be this guy. Like when you start saying that, it's like, oh, like I just ask straight up. Like it's way better because when you're saying I hate to be this guy, but like no, you're just being a jackass. Like just ask them and be polite. Say please. Say thank you. Use manners. What your mom taught you when you were 4 years old.
Well, it's so funny you mentioned that, Dylan, because as you both would know, Grant's a big Chipotle guy.
Yes.
Shocker. I love Chipotle. You know what a please and a thank you will get you there? Bigger portions.
Yes.
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
You can, the person behind the counter, they're making $12 an hour. They hate their life. They're getting treated like just absolute garbage all day. Just walk up and say, hey, could I get a burrito double wrap with extra brown rice and chicken, please? Hey, thank you after that. And it's one word or two words, but it means so much and it goes so far. So yeah, I like that, Dylan.
Well, and it goes back to the Rock talked about it, is you treat the CEO the way you would treat the janitor. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like treat them all the same, because at the end of the day, they're the same person. Like treat them the way they want to be treated. Treat them with respect. Like be a good person.
I'll say this one's a little bit different for you guys, but people who wear socks to bed, that's just such a toxic trait that shouldn't be allowed.
So we figured out who Ethan is when he goes to bed at night. He does not have a top sheet and he takes his socks off.
Yep.
Yeah, and you better have more than one pillow.
Yeah, yes. You got to have at least two.
If you have one pillow, how the hell do you flip to the cold side at the end of it? It just doesn't make sense.
Well, you can't, because your arm's on the other side creating all these BTUs.
Exactly. There's some really stupid people out there, and it's really embarrassing to even acknowledge these people, but I'm probably friends with them.
So Ethan's definitely not, he's not from France and doesn't make love with socks on. What a shame.
No, that's a little weird.
But for me, this is kind of,
I haven't done it, but it's weird.
So for me, guys, this is one. It's when you're driving in your vehicle. In Minnesota here, it's cold 6 months out of the year and it's cloudy.
And you have awful drivers in that state.
Well, we're like terrible.
Yeah.
We're not as bad as Florida or Texas, but we're still pretty bad. But people who don't put their headlights on.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
While they're driving, I instantly just look at that person and say, I don't want to be friends with you. You probably have body odor. And you just have a whole laundry list of things going on. That's just
sleeps with their socks on.
They sleep with their socks on. They probably use a top sheet. I mean, they're probably a Badger fan.
I use a top sheet. Easy there. I'm a normal person.
Sorry to put you
on.
You
know what? Take a lap.
But people who drive without their headlights on, it's like, are you trying to hurt someone? Like it just drives me crazy. It's a simple thing. You get in your car, you put your seatbelt on, and if you know your car doesn't have automatic headlights, turn your headlights on and turn them off. It's safety.
I'm gonna one up you there. People who don't use blinkers.
I was gonna say that next.
Yep.
God, how hard is it to hit a little switch down? Like when you get home in the middle of the night, do not turn the light on? So it's a flip. All you do is flip it. Like it's not rocket science.
One little story for you guys on the blinker. You guys, know Caleb. Probably my best friend in the whole world. 2015. We're the day before he's getting married. We met up at the Burnsville Cracker Barrel. Because
great place to eat.
Great place to eat. And I got to say, Cracker Barrels in the southern part of this country are a hell of a lot better than the northern part of this country. Thank you, Chattanooga, Tennessee, because that's the Cracker Barrel I was at the last couple months ago, helping Caleb and family move to Florida. Had to stop in Chattanooga there, but so we're in Burnsville. My parents wanted to come up, because they've met Caleb and, hey, little congratulations. No, let's take the guys out for breakfast because, we were living in Fargo at the time. Don't get to come home often. So we're leaving the Cracker Barrel. And to get on the interstate in 35 there, I'm going left. And the person in front of me has their blinker on to also go left. So I'm thinking, hey, when the green arrow comes or when the green light comes, we'll be able to cross paths. And everything will be fine because they have their blinker on too. Well, as I'm about to turn left, this person all of a sudden, within 20 feet of me, turns their blinker off and goes straight and almost runs into Caleb and also almost kills him the day before his wedding. And I'm sitting back like, how stupid are you? To Ethan's point, you go home, you turn the light on, you leave a room, you turn the light off.
Yeah, they turn the light off and go sleep with their socks on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's serial killer vibes, man.
I couldn't get over the fact that this person willingly turned their blinker on. They were going left, and then just, all of a sudden, hey, 15 feet in front of this guy, I'm going to turn it off and try to kill him and run into these people. It drove me crazy. So to your point, Minnesota drivers are terrible.
Going back to the socks thing, there was actually a girl who told me sleeping with socks on is good for you because it regulates your body temperature. You know what I did? I unmatched with her immediately because that's scary.
Yeah, that girl probably shouldn't procreate if we're being honest here.
Well, it's just, you can't fix stupid.
To go back to the driving part is when I had my cup of coffee working in the oil field, like the biggest thing, and most of the job requires driving, is the goal for everybody is to get from point A to point B safely and go see their families. And they play a video talking about it and they show different parts of it, and it shows like that's the main goal. Different things at the end of the day, is it really worth risking your life over? So that's how we'll end this podcast. Thank you all for listening. We'll talk to you next week, and drive safe.